तमाम साथियों को याली मदद. Nice to have all of you on this beautiful sunny Sunday morning. मैं मौला ज़मान हम तमाम को इश्क व मोहब्बत, हिम्मत, तौफीक व ताहीद इनायत फरमाए कि हम इसी तरह इल्मी क्लास के अंदर आते रहें और हमारे तरीक़े को, हमारे मज़हब को समझने की कोशिश करते रहें. May Mawla Ali Zaman be with us. With his Mubarak name, Nur Maulana Shah Karimul Sani Hazir Imam, we will start. So inshallah today again we will continue with our tariqah, the Batini tariqah of the Islam. We have received few questions which we will handle and start at the second part or last 30 minutes of today's session. Inshallah, with the Imam's mercy and Imam's help, we will answer all of those questions or some of those questions. हमारी तरीका हमारे मज़हब का बातिनी तरीका है. So one question that sometimes is asked or some get confused, that I say religion and when I say tariqa, what does it mean? Islam is our religion and Ismaili tariqa is our tariqa. As we all know, at the beginning of Islam, from the day one, it had two sects. One who believed and followed the Imam, and one who said is good enough for a book. And they left the Imam, they didn't follow the Mullah. And this was the very first day after Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam had appointed his brother, his son-in-law as for the people. Now the words are used are Wasi, Khalifa, AZIZ, Imam. Regardless of the terms and terminology, there was the or command of the Prophet was of Allah. It was in line command and if you do not take my command, then everything I've done will be null and void. Meaning, without the announcement of the Imamat of Mawla Ali, all work they've done in previous close to 22 plus years would not mean anything, would be null and void. What does it mean? That all the work was done for the purpose of declaring Mawla Ali as his AZIZ, as his Wasi, as the people after him. Reason. Not only that, in the beginning, from the time of Adam, there was no time between the Adam and the Kaaba that has ever left humanity, mankind, without the guidance. Again, the terms may be a little bit different. Sometimes they were called Imam, sometimes they were called Rasul, sometimes they were called Pegambar, sometimes they were called Wali, sometimes they were called Arifin. They had the different titles, but the purpose was always one, is to guide the people. To keep up with that sunnat, that fitrat of Allah, Allah as Rasul sent it a command to declare the Ali as Imam or the guide for the people after you. That is not subject today, but this is just a part of the history, so we understand how within the religion of Islam there are, or they started with the two large sects, and then as the time went by, now there are 73 different tariqa or sects within the Islam, and we are belong to the tariqa which we call Ismaili tariqa, meaning we are the follower of Imam Ismail, and we are continue to follow the progeny and the descendant of Muhammad and Ali. So who are we following? We are following the Imam Al Muhammad Aulad Ali, according to the command of Allah in Quran, where it says, Atiullah wa atiu Rasul wa ulil amra minkum. So we are continued with that command, and we are continued with the Sunnat Rasul, where Muhammad says that I am leaving you, Ali, my brother, as your master. Whomever I am the master, Ali will be their master. So when we say that we will not, Nauzubillah, if we ever come to that conclusion that we do not need Ali or we do not need the Imam, then what we are saying? We do not need the Prophet, we do not need the Quran, and we do not need the Allah. Because Atiullah is, Atiur Rasul is, Atiul Ulil Amr Minkum. Following the Imam is following Rasul, and following Rasul is following the Allah. That is the principle and the law of our tariqah today. So what is the conclusion? The conclusion is that we are on the Sirat al-Mustaqim that Allah mentioned in Surah Al-Hamd, that we talked about in our last previous class. We are the one who's following those who has been rewarded, who's been liked by Allah, and they appointed by Allah the Rasul and the Imams. Remember, the Rasul and Imams are selected, appointed, not elected. Meaning people do not decide who their Imam would be, and people do not decide who their Rasul would be. They are selected and appointed by Allah Himself. That is the Batin, that is the essence, that is the principle, and that is the center point of our tariqah, according to the command of Allah and the Rasul. Now, where is the Batin hidden in this talk? Because Rasul in his respected time and Imams in all the times are the Hamilane Nur. They have manifested the Nur of Allah in them. It is the Nur, the Batin, which we cannot see, is what we are following. It's not the Zahir. It is not the physical body, but the embodied of the Nur that we follow, that we prostrate, that we understand, and that is the center of our tariqah, which is the Nuran Allah Nur, Nur after Nur, from the time of Adam to the Khatam, from the Ali to Shah Kareem Salawatullah Alayhi. That's what makes our tariqah Batini tariqah. We do not follow Jism. What do we follow? We follow the Nur after Nur after Nur after Nur, from Adam to Khatam, from Ali to Shah Kareem Salawatullah Alayhi. That is the Batin. If that is the case, then our thoughts and our mind, our learning and our teaching should be geared toward the Batin. Yes, of course, we have to use the physical examples. We still have Nirbir Shariat in our tariqah, so we may pay attention to the Batin of it, to the meaning of it, and the good example and sample was presented in the meaning of Surah Al-Hamd last week. If we only and only following the Shariat, I wanted to emphasize on this part. I'm not saying we are not going to follow our Shariat, which is three things in Ismaili Tariqah: Dua, the Son, and Chandrat Mallas. Those are the only for us compulsory requirement Shariat in our Tariqah. But we're not going to follow this Shariat without the understanding the meaning and the Batin of those things. All these three things, all these three Shariat, all these three rites and ritual in our tariqah has one single purpose. One single purpose. And what is that? To purify us. To purify the mu'mineen, to purify the followers. Question to the thinkers: is this purification is of the body, or is this purification of the soul and mind? If your answer is this is the purification of the soul and mind, because दुआ पढ़ने से हमारा जिस्म साफ नहीं होता है, दसों डालने से हमारा जिस्म साफ नहीं होता है. What purifies? When we recite dua, when we concentrate and pay attention to the dua, when we give our zakat, our dason, when we give our faraz and follow the command by following the Chandra Madlas. It purifies our soul, the batin of our physical. Not the physical body, but our soul. But the door is physical shariat, physical body, So the work and the deeds are performed physically to benefit the soul. The beneficiary of the dua, the beneficiary of the song and beneficiary of our faraz is our soul, our batin. वो उसके बेनिफिशरी है. अदरवाइज फिजिकल के लिए, फिजिकल बॉडी के लिए दुनिया में पानी और खाना पीना ही काफ़ी है to nourish and to clean. Because as we see, other than smileys are also keeping their physical body clean and physical body fed. But that is not what we are doing. Second thing, why do we need Noor and the Imam as our Batini guidance? If, let's say, it was only a Noor and no embodied Imam, हमारे पास सिर्फ नूर का तस्वुर होता लेकिन एक इमाम का तस्वुर नहीं होता, because we cannot reach the Noor, nor we can see yet, nor we understand how the Noor works. So it was with the mercy of Allah to always and always and always have an embodied Noor amongst us. उसने हमेशा एक इंसान को, इंसान की गाइडेंस के लिए, he always kept a human for the humankind to guide, because we can see him, we can hear him, he talks like us, he walks like us. ये हमारी आसानी के लिए था. Those who are following the Shariat only without giving any consideration to the Batin, without paying any attention to the Batin, there is no difference between a Ismaili and other non-Ismaili Muslims or other religion, because they are all following the Shariat of the physical. और सिर्फ फिजिकल की जिस्म का मज़हब पालते हैं. And I'm not saying that. It is the Imam's farman that if you do not teach your religion, your tariqah to your children, then they will follow the physical religion. क्योंकि हमने बातिन की तरफ अटेंशन नहीं दिया, because we were ignorant to the batin of it. So our physical tariqah, our physical rite and rituals are for the purpose for our batin, so we may pay attention to our soul, which is eternal. It is the soul, or for the purpose of the soul, that we are doing everything in our tariqah. ठीक है, उसके बेनिफिट जाहिर के अंदर भी होते हैं. I agree and admit there are benefits even in our physical life. But that is not the purpose. That is not the purpose. Purpose is to have a benefit of the soul and the mind, because that life, the spiritual life, वो दाहिमी है, continue है, forever है. So our purpose should be permanent, not temporary. अगर जिस्मानी फ़ायदा लेना है, and if we even have the physical benefit, but those are temporary. Tomorrow we will die and all those physical temporary benefit will go away. So if we are smart and intellectual, akalmand, then what we would be doing? We would be paying attention to our batin. I'm going to give an example, and this was kind of a question that was asked last week, and I think I had answered, but let's take another example. So there are two ways to get into the batin or to understand the batin. Either we go inward, inside of us, and look at the soul, understand the soul, and then do the ibadat. Or we look at the things in ilmi way, in the knowledgeable way, to understand the final result of it, meaning the essence of our tariqah. Either we go to the origin of our tariqah or we go to the essence of our tariqah. It sounds like both are same, isn't it? Because at one level they are same, but at one level they are at the two different corners of the equation. The origin, which was the original batin, essence is its result. Essence is the reward. Essence at the end what we will receive. But if you think of this in a circle, then of course we are talking about the same thing. But for today's learning, let's learn on a linear line. एक सीधी लाइन के ऊपर हम इसको रख कर सीखते हैं. Our original was our soul, and our essence would be, meaning the result at the end would be to become one with the Imam. If we were thinking of this in a circle, then we are from the Imam, meaning we came from the batin, and we will return back to the Imam. We will return back into the batin. Let's take the example of a tree. When we see a tree, when we think of a tree, what is the origin of that tree? A seed. A seed. एक बीज. What is the essence of the tree? What is the reward at the end? The fruit. Do we understand this example? Because the whole idea of the tree and the seed was to have a fruit at the end. So we can say that batin of the tree is the seed and the essence or the reward of the tree is a fruit. Same in our tariqah. The seed is our soul, and the essence and the reward is the didar and become one with the Imam. If we are thinking on a linear line. But if we are thinking circularly, in a circle, then we are from the Imam and we will go back to him. Just like in the tree, at the end of the fruit, you still have a seed left in your hand after you finish eating that fruit. And the cycle starts again. यानी कि दरख्त का जौहर एट द एंड रिजल्ट वो भी ट्री है और फ्रूट एक और दरख्त खड़ा हो जाता है. You can have another tree after having their fruit in your hand. So I'd like to stop here because remember we still have 3 questions in front of us. So let's take a 5 minutes, and if anyone has a question here, they can go ahead and ask, and if not, then we will start with our questions. G. Yali Madad.
I just wanted to comment, even in the first century of Islam, Shia Islam, we were called Batin here, which means followers of the Batin. And the Dais at that time, they used to say, do your Zahir and do your Batin. And that was the line of teaching right from the first century of Islam. And I see it so interesting that we are still following to the same basic rules which were shown by our Dais more than 1,000 years ago. Just a brief comment.
Ji, remember the nature and the habit of Allah, the Noor and Imam never changes. Meaning it was always about the Batin. And that comment reminded me of an event of the Adam. When Iblis saw the physical body, he refused to prostrate. What did he fail to see? The Batin, the Noor in the Adam. And same example can be used and followed today. Those people who do not follow Imam, what is the reason? Why people after Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam refused to follow Mawla Ali? Because they could not see the Noor in Ali. Only thing they saw was Jism, the physical body. Thank you, Dr. Sahib, for your comment.
I like it so much. The same thing with Adam and the Farishta, and the same thing at Gadir Ekho. When people see the outward form, then we make mistakes.
Ji. Thank you, Dr. Sahib. Any other comments or question? Okay.
I'd like to add a question.
Ji, Bismillah.
Yeah, we can add the question to the queue. It doesn't have to be answered now if you feel like it's better for later on. But just because you were talking earlier about the Prophet and the Imam as the embodied light, there's a question I have about Surah 19, Ayat 17. First part is just a comment. The second part of the question, the comment is, can we relate this concept of embodiment of light with the concept of the embodied or appearance of the spirit in human form? I think you mentioned maybe last week as well, Surah 19, Ayat 17. Where it says about Hazrat Maryam, and she took a veil from them, and then we sent to her our spirit, and he appeared to her as a well-made man, or a man in all respects. So in this case, the embodiment of the spirit in human form. That part is the comment. The question part is, what did the first part mean in terms of its ta'wil or its batin about Maryam took a veil?
Kyal, I think you got cut off.
Okay, I'm not sure where I got cut off then.
You said at the beginning, Maryam did what?
That she placed a veil from other people. She took a veil to herself.
Ji.
So I'm just wondering, what is that esoteric meaning of that? And like I said, you can just add it to the queue. It doesn't have to be answered now, but It was just interesting because the second part talks about the embodiment of spirit, which we understand now. But I was wondering if there's an esoteric meaning to her taking a hijab for herself.
Ji, thank you. I will add this to the question. Thank you. Any other question or comments? Okay, if not, let's move on to the next. We have 3 questions. The very first question is from the Kyal that he had asked at the very end of our previous class, and since we were not able to finish it, I had promised to cover this today, and that was of the Rahman and Rahim. The concept of Rahman and Rahim, or the understanding of Rahman and Rahim.